Let's go, let's go, let's go. Alright, people wanna hate every day, it's okay.
Welcome back, Reckless Success. Tonight we got my buddy Teddy Eugene Willingham on. He's from St. Louis. Teddy, we met through a mutual business partner that we both have, and I wanted Teddy to come on. He's kind of been through all the same stuff that I've been through, that a lot of us have been through. And when I met Teddy, he had a real inspiring story. So he was a contractor. Teddy, you're a contractor, or at the time you were a contractor.
Right.
And we met, and our mutual friend was saying how we both had, similar history. And Teddy gave me his book, and, I went home that night or that week and I read it. And I knew right away that we would reconnect again. I knew that wasn't the only time that we would meet. But this is his book, From the Streets to the Throne. So if you want to read a good book, check that out.
You can go on Amazon and get it.
Get it on Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon.
And that's From the Streets to the Throne by Eugene Teddy Willingham. I said that right. I'm real bad with names.
No, that's right. That's why I always tell people, keep it simple. Just call me Teddy.
Right.
That's it.
Teddy ended up, growing up in the inner city, so there was a lot of gangs that you grew up around. You got into that lifestyle. You ended up getting in trouble, and from there, you ended up having to serve time in prison. So from your book, I gathered that while you were in prison, you found God and you got on a straight path. And then when you came home, you were ready. You'd studied and learned while you were in prison. So when you came out of prison, you focused on God, your family, and then work. And that, setting those goals and that living that lifestyle really ended up paying off in the long run, because obviously you're no longer around the gangs or anything like that, and you're doing good in life. So, Teddy, you also do, on top of the construction, so I don't know how to start this off, if we should go into your China line of dogs or if we should talk about your history. But another good thing about Teddy is he raises many, what are they called?
Micro bullies.
Micro bullies.
Micro bullies. On the West Coast, they call them designer dogs.
Right. They are designer dogs.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like a clutch bag. You see, my neighbor had one 20 years ago, and I thought it was a disformed at the time, because I'd only seen pit bulls. I'd never seen a micro bully or even teacup or any kind of dog. So I saw one and I always wanted one. I'm like, that is the coolest looking dog. He was all stout.
You got one now. You got the man who raised him, so
right.
You got one. Say no more. That's one of many things I do besides if I'm not doing China Line in the family, you know what I'm saying? You can hit me on IG for us, Willingham Exotic Bullies, to look up the dogs. If I'm not doing that, for us, like the contractor, how we met. Mm-hmm. My company, Midwest Railway Maintenance Group, where I go in and do asbestos, lead, hazards removal, any type of remediation, mold, all of that.
Okay.
And if not, sometimes I'm big on, if I'm not too ingested, I go to schools, talk to the youth, and kind of do a little mentorship and just basically try to give back for us, the community, anything for us. Just try to always to empower, somebody that been where I was at when I was lost, anything like that. Other than that, I might be somewhere like this with you.
Right. This weekend we're going to have a good time, because we're going to the casino after this recording to see if we're going to walk out of here with some money or without some money. But no, that's a good point. It's fun to work with the youth. It's important to get back to your community, especially these kids coming up without dads, or there's so many kids out there that don't have mom, dad in the same household, and it really affects the kid coming up. So then whenever he gets out in the streets and he starts feeling like, okay, this somebody's going to teach me. So I feel like if we had more big brother, big sister, they actually closed I think, didn't they? At least they closed the one here. But I think those programs are important to get, kids around other men and see how men are supposed to carry themselves. Because if not, they're going to look at the only men they see, and that's, the ones in their neighborhood or whatever. And if they're not acting good, then that's the lead they're going to follow.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes. What you just said, it's a lot of things people are not too much conscious on that 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 destroys our youth at an early age. You know, like you just said, a lot of dysfunction in a household. Just like say, I use myself for example. It's like my mother and father did the best that they knew how to do. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate both of them for that. But at the same time, there's the confusion. Sometimes I used to see my mother and father go through. They kind of threw my equilibrium off because as a child, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Really, too much what's going on when you see your you see your family members getting into it, whether it's your mother, father, or you see your loved ones kind of like into it or whatever. So that kind of throws you for a loophole. So when you threw off like that, you might go off and venture off and go into somebody else who's going to something similar. But y'all might be, you know what I'm saying, y'all might be communicating and then y'all start building y'all bond. That becomes your family. And y'all start doing things that's not productive or right, but it's just like that's how things happen. That's how a lot of kids get caught up in being in gangs, being a part of something or whatever, because it becomes part of their family. That's and then like today's society, man, it's crazy because the internet. You know what I'm saying? The internet makes
Yes.
things look so
I
glamorous.
couldn't imagine being so like I was a drug dealer way back when before cell phones. We had cell phones when I was dealing drugs, but they had just come out. They were like the Nokias, we didn't text and stuff like that. Like texting, I would be like, dude, you're freaking me out. You just sent me a text about something. That'd be
Yeah,
weird. But now with these kids with just all the technology right there at their hands or all the communication, like I can't imagine how kids are going even through school with our kid. I see stuff on Snapchat. They bully or there's just they're open. They can do
yeah.
anything they want out there on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, we
It's
live in that what they call the information age. Not only information age, but a lot of these kids, they smart. They smart because of the technology, but at the
right.
same time, sometimes the technology can be damaging.
Socially
Yeah,
damaging
it
for
can be. Of
sure.
course, you gotta think socially damaging. You gotta look at how some people they live off Facebook,
Hmm.
Instagram,
Right.
Snapchat, and all those things, TikTok. It's like I know for a fact, some guys, they young men, but they attention whores. So when I say they attention whores, it's like they if nobody's looking at them or they're posting something or whatever, then they do what's the name that like that makes them feel less than.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. So socially despondent when somebody's not putting a like
Right.
or you know what
It
I'm saying.
messes them
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
it mess
Or
them
if
up.
it
So
does, it makes them all
yeah,
excited. They
so
feel like
so
they've accomplished
yeah,
something.
so if that's going on, somewhere else, you was missing something at a kid's age to feel like that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's
Right.
like you just said, it's crazy, but I believe you know what I'm saying. Like guys like yourself and I, we have to fill those positions to if we're able to be in a room around somebody, you know what I'm saying, then maybe we can see and we might hear them and they going through it. I think it's our God given gift, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
to kind of breathe on them,
Yep.
to kind of give them a little direction or whatever. And I think that's a lot what's wrong. People don't see people like they self
Hmm.
reaching the success level of doing it right. That's why I know most guys in my neighborhood. What we did, the only people that we pretty much seen be successful is pretty much the drug dealers. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Nobody wanted to be a working man and just be a productive member of society. But the funny thing about it, I remember my father used to tell me the same thing you hate, you gonna one day you gonna love. He say you
Right.
gotta understand and go to work every day to make sure you are right and the rest of your family is okay. And he told me that, and I was like, yeah, when I was young, cause I didn't understand.
Right.
But getting into my trades, which I've been in multiple trades, cause it used to be a railroad tracks, lay flat work, you know what I'm saying, and like the demo and all that, whatever, you know what I'm saying. I had end up having a passion for those things. But at the same time, I got so much peace more than being in the streets. Because in the
Right.
streets, it was always, you know what I'm saying, I was always looking. The streets was always more or less like when you in it, really in it, you know what I'm saying, like been at wars and shootouts and losing loved ones, friends, people close to you. You like when you hear a car drive by, you looking outside
Right.
because you
You're in
don't
a
know if
real
it's
war zone,
yeah,
basically, because
you
you could
don't
get
know
killed at any
yeah,
minute.
you don't know if it's the police.
It's
You don't know if
horrible.
it's the
Yeah.
guys coming to kill you. So just having that peace, but you know what I'm saying, with you know what I'm saying, me getting up every day, going to work. Sometimes, you don't want to go to work, but at the same time, I just get up on. That's just my responsibility as a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My daughters have to see this.
Exactly.
I want them to understand this is what a man do, especially if you decide to pick them and bring them to me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
This is the
Because if
real
you
hustle.
you can't bring him to me and he's not getting up, he's not going to work because
Right.
he's not going to be able to take care of you. I'm going to have to take care of you. So I don't want to see him.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm saying.
That sounded like you got a little deep there. I don't know who the daughter is, but you better ditch the boyfriend.
Nah, I don't got no beef. I'm just saying.
I'm joking.
No, I'm just saying I don't got no beef. I'm just saying when you got
That's
little
right.
girls, even when you got sons, you gotta, you know what I'm saying. We have to teach them. This is the way it should be.
Right. If not, we're all barbarians and just running wild and bombing everybody in the head and killing them like it was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We're a civilized culture now. We should all be able. I probably said that wrong, but we're civilized now. I feel like the real hustle as a kid, for me, like I thought the drugs was a hustle because I didn't want to put in any real work. I was lazy. I was young, and I think that's going to affect us because the internet, the phones and stuff is definitely making the kids lazier.
Yeah.
They don't want to do nothing. So in my mindset, I used to go outside and play, but I was still lazy. I thought the drugs was easier than the work.
Yeah.
So I went with that. So it does concern me about the future. But the real hustle is to get out there and just, you don't even have to, you could just go start mowing yards to get into, a work mode. Because you got to get out of that drug mode or that hustle drug mode. And you could just start with mowing yards. And that's going to lead you to a routine where you're getting up every day and you're, meeting clients, making them happy. And then you can just turn that into an addiction of money. And I'm telling you, I've done a lot of drugs and I've cashed a lot of money, and I always feel better when I'm putting the money in the bank than whenever I was taking the drug money and taking it back to the guy I owed for the drugs and then getting to have a 20 or 40 at the end, and then I'm sitting in prison. Like, damn. It's a lot better to work for it because you get a lot more money at the end of the week that actually goes to you. It builds a structure, and then you can do things. I never in my life, when I was younger, up until I went to prison at 25, thought I'd ever have a house. I just thought that it was unattainable. I don't know why. Everybody else, all my friends were working, but in my mind, I'm like, well, nobody's going to loan me no money, which I was ripping off the banks and not paying my debts, so I could understand why. But it's doable. It's never too late to turn everything around and then make something of your story.
Yeah, everything like you just said before. You just got to take a negative to a positive. It's just like most drug dealers. They businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. It's just like they just doing it wrong.
They're hustling the wrong product.
They hustling the wrong product. You just gotta most people gotta remember, you are the product. So it's like, okay, getting up every day, you gotta get out, meet people, you gotta sell yourself. Not only you gotta sell yourself, it's what you're selling. So if you're doing a particular work or whatever, that's your brand. So I want to see what your brand is about. So when you see what your brand is about, you're gonna go basically to like people who've dealt with you. So when people dealt with you, it's like saying, hey, good drugs, they sell themselves. You ain't gotta sell them. Somebody know you got them. They coming. You won't even know them.
Right.
But that's the way your business has to be. So when people learn to put those two things, you know what I'm saying, together, then they'll understand. I don't have to be out here risking my life, you know what I'm saying, for something that doesn't make any sense. Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, it might all look glamorous or whatever, but man, the drug game is something else. You can arrive to a plateau and you can have somebody sitting right next to you, put a bullet in the back of your head. that wants what you have. You know what I'm saying? If not that, then you got to look at you got children. You got a kid or something. You got a kid. You selling drugs. You got to go do some time. By the time you come back out, the
They're
kid
grown.
like 10 or 15 years old, they're grown. What you gonna do? You got to start all the way back over. So if you willing to put yourself in that situation and risk it all on the line or whatever, you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it? No, because the same thing that you got off into when you come home, your child might be into, or a person that might be doing time. Your child might be coming through that system to do time with you.
Right.
So the reality,
Oh man, I've seen a lot of dads and sons in there.
See what I'm saying?
At the same prison. I'd be at a prison. I'm a couple of them, and they got on the same indictments or whatever. And I'd meet somebody and be like, "Yeah, it's my dad over there." And I'm like, "Your dad? You're locked up with your dad down there?"
Yeah, that's crazy. I wouldn't want my son.
That would be heartbreaking for a parent. I would feel.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my son to have the experiences that I have had,
Right.
because you know what I'm saying. I know mentally, you know what I'm saying. Some of the stuff that I've seen, man, you know what I'm saying. It has affected me somewhat, but it hasn't. So when I said it has affected me somewhat, like sometimes stuff happen and the person be looking at me like, "Man, you ain't got no emotion.
Right.
What's wrong with you?" Well, when you done sink this stuff so many
I'm
different.
that way too. Like death, everything. Like somebody dies, even if they're, and I'm not saying like Lisa or my immediate family dies, but like when people die that I know, I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like that's it. I'm like, well, I mean, they're dead. Like I hate it for them, but I mean, it just doesn't click, even when it's close, because I've had so many experiences that I've had to go through where I've had to shut emotion off.
Exactly.
You know
So
what I mean?
when you in the streets like that, that's what I'm saying. When you in the streets like that, it's coming like that. So, in a sense, they could be unhealthy.
Right.
They can be unhealthy for real. So you know what I'm saying. It's like when let's say, all right, you're not in the streets. Then when you live in a new life, and then you come into the marriage, family structure, and something goes on, your wife looking at you like, "What's wrong? You're not responding,
Right.
baby. You looking like, baby.
No
Look, I don't,
emotion.
baby. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. I know it happened. Baby, I feel it hurt. I might not feel it like
Inside
you.
I'm tore up, but outside I got a blank sheet on.
Yeah,
I'm doing the same thing. I'm crying inside, but I can't cry out loud.
Yeah. So but it's like I'm saying, when you codependent on your environment that shielded you like that, to a point where, you know what I'm saying, if people, you know what I'm saying, like our wives, they didn't live that lifestyle, so they wouldn't understand that. You know what I'm saying? So like I said before, sometimes things that what you pick up, you know what I'm saying, you have to relearn them.
Right.
To show the emotion of you know what I'm saying, be more sensitive, have more compassion or whatever. But you know what I'm saying, like you said, when you in those streets, you learn to shut those things
You
down.
gotta always act hard and this and that, and then
yeah.
you go through, you get arrested and you go through the trial and you gotta hold that hard demeanor, and
You
but
can't-
inside you're freaking out.
Yeah,
But you're going through all this, you gotta be the chameleon and figure out what their role is. I'm going in these cells, these guys I've never met.
I'm
you
in
gotta be
jail,
hard.
and I'm emotional. Everything's affected me.
Right.
I'm in jail every time this happened, or this. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm saying, it's some stuff that you, like when people go to prison, they come home, they lost parents, or they done lost.
I know, that's
They done
rough.
lost siblings, or you know what I'm saying. All of those things, man. So it's like that's a thing that when people are doing what they doing, of course they hustling, and think the repercussion. It's a lot of repercussions that they can't see right now. But when you start going through those things and those things happen, you be like, wow.
Yeah, you gave me chills because when you was talking about that there, I've like literally heard the screams. I've heard other inmates screaming because like if your kid dies or something and you're locked up, they ain't letting you fucking go home. Or they might for the funeral. They'll take a couple officers, and if you're lucky and they'll let you furlough, you might get to go to the funeral. But them guys are coming right back. And they almost need to go suicide watch for a week or two. But the ones that don't, I've heard them crying. down the hall and screaming and stuff because their kids died and they're locked up and they can't do nothing about it. And I got that feeling. I could hear it when you said that.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying, because it's real, man.
It's real life.
You know what I'm saying? It's real. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I said before, I always try to be an example to, you know what I'm saying, the people that I be around. And what I've learned, be an example, it's like the culture. Let me say this about the culture. The culture, the young men today, man, they say it. They say it. This is why they say it. Number one, they say it because we already talked about work. They don't want to work. Not only they don't want to work, most of their emotions that they have emotions like women. So let me break it down to you. Most young men come up today, they're in their 30s or whatever, they've been raised by a single mother.
Right.
So when they dealing with a for real man and they calling them on their BS, they don't even know how to accept it.
Right.
They think that real man tripping. But now your psychological.
I always hate whenever I get mad and I hit somebody and I realize that they're just a sissy and I'm like, you bucked up, man. I thought you wanted to fight. And they're like, no.
Yeah, but,
I'm like, well, you got hard. I thought for a second you were, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like, it's like when somebody calling you on, hey man, they calling you on your BS. If you have a father or you had men around you, they was gonna always call you on your BS. You mad? They tell you, hey man, you doing this, you doing that, or whatever the case be. So what you mad? What you gonna do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You tell these guys that now, these guys go in an emotional rant in their head. They mad at you. This and that. That's the same thing a female do. You mad at me because I ain't giving you your way. I'm calling you on your BS. You get what I'm saying? Not only that, but you want the respect that you and I get, but you're not doing what a man.
Exactly.
You're not doing the manly things or carrying yourself like a man. It's like a lot of guys, they want respect. They want people to see them as you and I. But you're not doing the manly thing. You're not handling your stuff in a responsible manner. You might be hustling, but even though you're hustling, that female that you with, she's uncertain what you gonna do because
you're cheating still. I don't know. I judge now. I don't judge, but now when I meet people, I don't judge at all. Actually, I mean, people can tell me they do drugs, and I'll try to help them. I'll say, hey, I'll try to give them some advice, but that's your life. If that's what you do, that's what you do. So if I'm hanging out with people and they're cheating on their wives or something, I'm judging you right there. I'm like, okay, you're not a man. You're not, because I understand you come up through that 20s or whatever, and you're not married. But once you take on that role of father and stuff, if you're out stepping out on your wife, and then I instantly respect. I'm not hanging. Don't plan on coming over my house and hanging out because I don't want you snooping around my fucking cookie jar. But I just like men that carry themselves like men. That have morals. If they see a old lady on the side of the road with a flat tire, they pull over and they help her because that's what we're supposed to do. Or they see a woman sitting down and they're standing up, or vice versa, they're sitting down and a woman's standing up on a bus, they get up and let the lady sit down. And those are just easy things that we've let go because, like you said, they've just lost that chivalry.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's about them. It's about them. That's what I'm saying. I was going into that because, like I said, I deal with a lot of young men, and they so emotional in the wrong type of capacity. Not they wrong, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that in a way. I'm just saying it's like when somebody's been somewhere where you haven't been, you have to listen to them. Don't get me wrong. As us being older, we can't listen and learn from them. Of course we can. Right. But what I'm saying is, even like going what you're saying into. Like guys, like you just said, they married, they cheating or whatever. That's because they still immature. Right. It don't make no difference that you're a man. You're a male. A man understands loyalty. That's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. See, people use that word, but loyalty is an action word. See, that's why you feel the way you feel because like you loyal to your wife. That's like me. I got friends that they might do whatever they do. Right. That's on them. But they know, I tell them all the time, Man, how long we been friends? We been friends since we been 8 years old. I tell them all the time, if you see me cheating on my wife, I ain't your friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I want you to see me living that loyalty, you know what I'm saying, for my wife. It's easy to say one thing, you want somebody to treat you loyal or whatever the case be, but you ain't loyal yourself.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So you hear a lot of guys.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Hypocrite.
So yeah, so that's what I'm saying in a sense where that's why we all kind of messed up. It's even with a guy, if you see one thing ain't working, still go get you a job and be responsible.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I'm going into saying, men ain't men. If your lady you with, she want stability, she wants security. So therefore, the hustling ain't gonna get it because you're going up and down.
You could go to jail. You could lose her real quick because Jody is a real thing, boy.
Oh yeah, Jody got your girl and
Jody got your girl the day you left. That week.
Not Jody, you know what I'm saying? You know, not only Jody, your friend got her.
Your friend is Jody. Jody's whoever's showing up knocking on that door, but I guarantee there's gonna be a knock.
Yeah, so you know, like you just said, it's a big game. And all of that to a point where, you know, a lot of guys, like I'm saying, they wonder what's going wrong in their relationship. It's because you haven't truly manned up yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I always tell my wife, and she know this to be true. I used to ask my wife, I mean, not my wife, but my mother, and I tell my wife about this. I always ask my mom, how do you treat, you know what I'm saying, how you supposed to treat a wife? My mom could never really answer that. So when I was a kid, it stayed with me to the point I say, well, I know how I wanted my dad to treat my mom. Mm-hmm. So I always treat my wife like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So any type of, you know what I'm saying, like a disagreement or me and my wife, you know what I'm saying, we you know what I'm saying, we have a disagreement about something. It's not gonna be physical. It's not gonna be yelling. It's not gonna be screaming because I don't want my kids to ever experience that. And that's what I'm talking about, the discipline of a man for real. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because you dying to self. So even though I might disagree with her or might be upset at that particular time, but I still got to be an example to be like, no, you know what I'm saying, you don't carry yourself like that. Right. But if you raised by a female and don't have a male there to what's the name, you're going to lash out in the wrong type of way. Mm-hmm. And that's what keeps the relationship unhealthy. So if you're a father and you're doing it and your daughter see that, they're going to accept that in their relationship. So now you're going to have that toxicity going on to a point where, you know what I'm saying, it's like I see guys that I grew up with, they got daughters. You know what I'm saying? They talking to me about a situation of a guy might have, you know, been physical with their daughter. Then I look at them like, hey, you physical with the ladies, you know what I'm saying, back in the day too. So, you know, you kind of reap what you sow. So my thing was saying that we have to be examples of bettering all of those things, especially when we've been through what we've been through for us, the streets, right. You know what I'm saying, and selling drugs and all that or whatever, because people don't see real men today. Right. Real men, they're last of a dying breed.
And which is a sad thing, because if you look through history, this is a repeating cycle. It goes over and over. I don't want to get too crazy here, but the Roman Empire was a huge empire, built up thousands of years. They've got a big civilization, and their men started getting confused on what gender they were.
Oh, yeah.
And they started dressing in, you know, putting shit on their lipstick, and they got all sissified. And
man,
then
you talking about the Diddy stuff.
and then the barbarians, well, here's what happened. The Roman Empire was huge. They started getting all fucking dolled up, and the barbarians come in there and just wiped them out, you know?
That's what I'm saying. You still talking about, look, listen to what you just basically broke down. It's the entertainment. The entertainment was going on today. People doing anything to be accepted. So people willing to get down, and they men on men and all that, whatever. But I'm saying they still go back to what we talking about. People knowing what's going on, but they want that lifestyle though. So they willing to do those type of things.
Yeah, don't sell your soul.
Hey,
she ain't gonna get fucked for free. You ain't gotta go do it at a Diddy party.
Hey man, hey, listen man. Like I said, but we live in a realistic world where we see people want fame that they'll do that though.
Right.
But I'm saying so that the tension and everything else is still what I'm talking about. People willing to go to their lowest low. You know what I'm saying? We old school, so some stuff like that, man. Like, come on, man. Your manhood is all you got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna be a man, I'm saying you gotta exemplify that. So a lot of times those guys that we were seeing growing up back in the day, hard old school guys or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You gotta still keep that traditional foundation there. You can't get away from the landmark because we got so much going on to people don't know if they want to be a man, they don't know if they want to be a woman, so
Right.
you know what I'm saying. And when you look at me, I want you to know, oh man, that dude straight up and down, he gonna give it to you raw. If you don't like what I'm saying, hey, you know what I'm saying, hey, you probably get over it, come back and talk to me later on or something, whatever, because I'm saying that's the way I learned to better myself. Because what I'm saying, I learned to better myself is like when I got locked up, I knew what I was doing. I wasn't mad at nobody or none of that or whatever. I knew I participated in everything or whatever. I'm saying I can't, I couldn't blame nobody, and that's another thing. What I'm saying with younger guys, they always quick to blame somebody.
Right.
It's always a blame game. If you played with that particular situation or you was dealing in that, you had a chance to stop. So that's your fault.
Right.
The first step to
Accept it.
recovery
Right.
is admitting.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So that's another thing.
That's everywhere. It's getting worse and worse. This blame game. It goes all the way down to fast food. Like everything's getting so crazy. We got this week, in fact, I'm just gonna say this because I've been wanting to say it anyways about Bobcat. This place down here, I've been dealing with them for years, and I haven't fixed something, and then a month later it fixes or it's broke again. I take it in there, and they can blame this is the worst finger pointing people I've ever met. And I'm like, in my mind, if I'd done something, I fixed something, it keeps breaking, I'm gonna go fix it, figure it out. But they will just constantly, it's another $4,000, another $3,000. The other day, I blew up on them. I went in there. I guarantee I'm not allowed back. Because there was customers in there, and I was trying to get them to come outside. They just rebuilt my roller. I picked it up, got it out to the job site. I hit the button, instantly smoke comes out of it. Oh, I put it back on the trailer. I take it back to their shop. The guy calls me. Well, it's going to be $3,000. It's there's a bushing in there. And I said, buddy, you just had it apart, and you didn't change that? You didn't look it over? And his response was, well, I ain't got a crystal ball. Oh, man, my head got so big. I said, I'll be right there. And then I went up there, and I was hot. And I try to keep my composure, but I just hate when people are sarcastic. And I told the guy, I said, I was in there yelling, and I said, and you thought you would tell me that you ain't got a crystal ball to fix it. And I said, I didn't ask you if you had a damn crystal ball. I asked you if you checked the bearing while you had it all apart, because now it's another $500 to take it apart, change the bearing, and put it back together. And you just had it apart to rebuild it. And that's when he said crystal ball. And he said, well, I was just trying to make a joke. And I said, you think $3,000 is a joke? But the point of the story is everybody wants to point, well, I didn't think to check that while I was apart, but it's just like, okay, pay the payment. So this whole industry stuff is really struggling for workers, for just customer service, for any of that. So I think it would be cool. I mean, the drugs, if we all think about it, with Freeway Rick Ross, if you read anything or watch anything about his story, that's all
the real one.
The real one, not the shit, not the one that's the rapper. Yeah, but the real Freeway Rick Ross, if you study his case and everything, this guy got set up basically. He was a street dealer, and the government had this connection, and he got all this, and there was really stuff was Iran-Contra, but they needed money. So they were, and I would say, and I don't know all this, I'm just assuming, the Clintons had shit coming into Arkansas. They were bringing in a lot of cocaine, and they were flooding the streets. I think it would be cool to see these crews say, hey, let's challenge instead of, doing this street life. Let's see which one of us can make the most money in stocks, because this shit is easy, guys. You can go anything you put your mind to. If your crew says, hey, let's see if we can get into stocks, I guarantee if you put your mind into it in 6 months and you start going around those stock places, just show up, be presentable, show up, start going to trades and shit or wherever they're hanging out at the martini bar, whatever. you'll see it's just a hustle. It's a hustle just like anything else. And you can get into something that's making way more money. It's more respectable. You don't got to worry about people killing you or killing your kids or being locked up with your kids. And it's a hustle. You can have just as much fun. And that's one thing that always blew my mind. I was a drug addict that was a drug dealer. But if you're just, I knew a lot of drug dealers that didn't even do drugs. I just knew a lot of guys that would sell drugs, but they didn't do it. Man, just sell something else. Sell a better product. There's so much easier ways to make money than to be putting the poison on our streets.
Oh yeah, let's just like say what you just said. Even with, for example, like you just said, those guys you've been dealing with, you just find somebody else. Bad customer service.
Yep.
Because when you're selling drugs, guess what? You want to have good customer service. Anything you do, you want to have good customer service.
Yeah.
And that's one thing where you know what I'm saying, in entrepreneurship, people have to learn that when people want to be their own boss. And then not only that, you gotta, in order to be, the man in the boardroom, you gotta be able to want to be the man that started in the stock room.
Right.
See, you know what I'm saying? It's all where you started. So you gotta stay humble, but you gotta stay hungry, so it goes back to what you're saying. A lot of us, we really can do anything we want to do, but we first have to change our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The mindset that most people have, they want it to be all about me. I understand that you have to work with people, but some people you don't want to work with. When you have people that, you know what I'm saying, it's like, if I got a team of people, I want everybody to shine in their own right. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to understand, you know what I'm saying, you play this position, I play this position. Right. And you know what I'm saying, once we learn to get that structured right, then you can take over and do whatever you want to do. Like you're saying.
That's very important what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real, because it's like, say, if you know somebody in the finance department that, you know what I'm saying, that basically broke things down and explained it to you on basically how to do, the stock market and this and that, whatever. Mm-hmm. And you got this person over here that's good with finances already, right. And this person that's doing this with numbers already that's an accountant. Of course it's going to be powerful. Right. And that's the key thing that most guys can't even see, like with the Crip and Blood stuff. You know what I'm saying? The gangs. That's why all the confusion is there, because if these guys get their corporate mindset and put all of that away, then we don't have a job. Because you got to think about it now. If people are doing crime, look at all of these jobs. You got the prosecuting attorney, you got the probation officer, you got the district attorney, you got the police officer,
you got the correction officer.
You got the correction officer. I'm just saying, right now, all of those right there, and you got one inmate, that one person is getting convicted, going to jail. Look how many salaries. That's 5 salaries that's being paid off of one inmate. Right. And let me see. I know the state, at one time, the state was getting like, for one inmate, they was getting anywhere between $50,000 per inmate or $55,000 per inmate, and that's the state. So the feds had to be getting $65,000 per inmate a year just for holding them. So that's like you said. Just
There's
think
a
about
lot
those,
of money there. I mean, all the way down to the numbers. Milks. You got 2,000 people in there, and they all drink a milk in the morning at breakfast, and you got 5 of those a day. There's 10,000 milks. The milkman's even in on it. Like everybody's got stuff going in there.
And
it's a big business.
Yeah, and you know this to be true. Every prison, when you go outside of every prison, all of these little stores and stuff around the prison is feeding their town.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Prison is feeding the town. So like you said, we just have to think, where we at, what we can do to better ourselves. Because just like I said, in the inner city, we not really, we don't have the opportunities that guys have, let's say guys that's from like rural areas. Right. I believe if guys in the city had the opportunity that guys have in the rural area, it'd be less crime. Because what I'm saying, when guys grew up in the rural area in the country, they learn farming. Mm-hmm. They learn about farming, not only farming, they more off in the hunt. If they not more off in the hunt and stuff, they learn about
Jumping
tractors.
creeks or just
It,
little life
yeah,
experiences. You learn
yeah,
all day. Jump
yeah.
too far, fell
It's
back in the water. You learn
it
next time.
it's peaceful. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
See, it's more peaceful, and it is always more or less like that space and that peacefulness in the city. You always hearing shooting, cars,
You just
somebody
got so many
arguing.
people
You know what
in
I'm saying? You constantly see vacant buildings and all that whatever. So
road rage constantly.
you gotta when you take that in or whatever the case be, you know what I'm saying. That's why guys be the way they be.
Right.
But when you take them out of that environment and show them to something bigger,
Yeah. That
that's
there's
when things
more
go
than
to
this.
change. Yeah,
It
that's when
would.
things change.
I was telling Teddy before we started that I grew up here in Southern Illinois, and I never, I've been on little vacations like Myrtle Beach or whatnot, but then we just come right back here. But I'd never really been out too far. But whenever I did go to prison, then I started meeting not only other people but getting around other cultures. You know, I'd never, like just the slang and stuff. Like at first, I was just completely baffled. I'd just sit there and soak it up and listen. And then next time my parents come to visit, they're like, "What the hell did you just say?" I'm like, "I'm speaking it because you just like become into that culture. You just ease into it." But I learned so much by getting out of this small mindset, and then getting down to Alabama and opening up and being around people I'd never been around. So then when I got back here, it really made me realize you can do whatever you want. If you just did that, if you just went and met who knows how many people over the last 5 or 6 years getting shipped all over the country and in different prisons. If you can do that, damn, you can do anything. It seems like, I mean, that was a pretty intense little situation we just got through.
Yeah, I know
So,
for a fact, man. I go everywhere. I be everywhere. I'm talking about I travel, man. I travel. I try to meet many people as I can.
right.
The network, cause I learned that's how you make a net worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Cause you got to have a big network.
Yep.
So a lot of people they scared to be outgoing and scared to leave from what they you know what I'm saying where they from. It's just like say me. When I'm doing this dog thing, man. Sometimes, man, I might drive 5-6 hours away. Sometimes I might drive 10, 12 hours, whatever. I might not even sell a dog, but it's how many people that I met. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying? So I do
Those
that because
connections
I
are
know,
important.
yeah, I do that because I know the return that was going to come. But a lot of guys, they not willing to do that. So at the same time, you're not going to get the return
Right.
that what I get. So it's like high risk, high yield.
Exactly. Not, and that's a good point because now it's getting to these days that everybody thinks, well, if I'm going to work, I want to be the boss or I want to be the one making the most money. It's not how it works. You got to learn skills and trades. Who's putting in the hours, the most hours, Are you being paid fair? That's good. You don't want to because if you come in over greedy and thinking you're worth this and that, but you're not putting in the work, then you ain't worth it.
That's what I'm saying. See, you saying that? That's another thing. What I'm saying about the youth, they want it like that.
Yeah.
They want it like that because they don't understand what you saying. Me and you both were in trades. We both started off being apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
We had to climb our way up to be a journeyman. Life is like that.
Right.
Life is like that. In career
You don't just
based
start off
changes.
making the
Yeah,
most.
yeah. You don't start off like that. You can't. When we came into trades, these guys been in the trades way before we were. So you can't start off thinking you want to be where they at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In 2-3 years or whatever.
Right.
You got to build yourself up. But people don't understand that's life. That's life. I
It's
see
a
guys.
cycle. You
Yeah,
start off as a baby, you learn.
yeah,
And I hope I'm always learning. I learn stuff every day.
yeah.
And if I'm not learning, then something's wrong. But you can't be afraid to learn. Don't be so proud that you think you know it all. I remember I was that guy at 20 years old, or 21. I thought I knew everything. And I was proud. If somebody tried to tell me, hey, you need to get a job instead of selling drugs, in my head, no, you need to sell some drugs instead of working your ass off. But I
Yeah.
was too proud to learn. And then now with the life experiences I've had, I accept and I'm like, I need this knowledge. I mean, and it might be good knowledge, might be bad knowledge. It's all knowledge. I try to soak it up and I try to decipher what's good and what's bad. and that's important. You should always be a sponge and trying to learn. And if you get so prideful that you think, well, I'm not going to go work at Burger King because $15, I don't want to see nobody see me working in there, then that's the wrong mindset. If that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do to get into that routine and get that work, start making the money, and start living a life that you're going to enjoy. I enjoy my life now. When I was hustling and selling drugs, I had a lot of fun, I ain't going to lie, but it turned into a long time of not enjoying my life. At first the drugs tricked my mind to thinking this is a blast. But boy, every time I'd wake up and I was sitting there hearing my celly snore, I thought, this fucking sucks. That wasn't worth it.
Man, I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change nothing in the world, you know what I'm saying, what I've learned in the street or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change nothing, but at the same time, if I could change something, it would not have been in the street life. Let me say that. Because it put, you know what I'm saying, being in the street life, you had to gear yourself a certain way. So with gearing yourself a certain way, you had to tear yourself down to rebuild yourself like a motor. So you know what I'm saying? It's like what we saying, to the point where when you young, you high headed, you a pistol, you think you 7 feet tall and bulletproof. You know what I'm saying? You ain't no good to nobody. You ain't no good to yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's impossible for you to learn. It's like most guys, they, like you saying, they want to start somewhere in life. But what about your attitude? Because your attitude gonna determine your altitude.
For sure.
You get what I'm saying? So you have to be humble and to take on certain things. Like me, I try to learn. I really try to learn from a lot of young people that I see that's real savvy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially with the social media stuff, because I'm telling you, they know how to do it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
They've been doing it since they were 5.
Man, I don't know nothing about the social media, man. But
Right.
I'm saying these young people tell you, now you need to do your page like this. You need to have the content. A lot of stuff. I look at these young people, what they doing and what they got going on. I love to keep people like that around me, as well as older people that's doing stuff like that too. Because what I've learned that keeps me, you know what I'm saying, it keeps me with the wittiness of knowing what's going on, and I'm not behind and all that or whatever. But if I'm around somebody, if I come around somebody and they with all that, you know what I'm saying, I run from that because
Right.
I don't want to be around it, because that you can't charge off of that.
Right.
You can't charge off of that.
That's where I want to go next. I don't know if you're done yet, but so I'm a Christian. My wife's a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
We believe, Jesus is our
You believe
Lord.
God is
We
good.
believe
Go
God
ahead.
is good. But we also we also believe that we have energies, that we have, different fields of energy. We can feel it, intuition. We believe in all that stuff.
Man, you talking about the Holy Spirit? Come on now,
Yeah.
let's preach. Come on.
Yep. So
Wow.
when you work that stuff, and when I was let's just go into how I, came to God, is I never even thought about it growing up. I was just trying to do drugs and run wild and ride wheelies. And then they say you go to prison, you find God. Well, you go to prison, you sober up, for one. And then you got a little bit of time on your hands. So for the first time for me, I picked up a Bible and started looking at it, which I had never done before. I'd never gave it a shot. So then once I did start studying the Bible, and I started meeting guys that were in there for 30 years, that were humble, that that were the nicest guys I'd ever met, that would help you do anything. If you didn't have any food, they would give you food. And I'm thinking, why are these guys being so nice, going to church and everything? And how did they come in here and they've got 35 years and they're preaching to me? And I started reading the Bible, and that's when I accepted Jesus as my Lord. And I started doing Bible studies and stuff. And that's when things start, the intuition. I'd always had intuition. The cops are coming, run. And I would get away. I was constantly getting away. I was in all these police chases, and I just had something. And I never doubted it. I'd get this feeling, and I'd just do it, and I'd follow. And then I'm in prison, and that intuition just carries over. So I carry it a lot into business. But I believe in energies. I believe in Christ. But I also believe that we have energies that we can, push off on each other. I feel like if I'm pushing off a good energy on you and you're hanging around me, then that's gonna rub off on you to where your energy's rubbing off on people.
You still speaking scripture.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. See, you know what I'm saying? Now you're gonna make me jump into this. See, they weren't ready for this, you know, but we're gonna give it to them. Let's give it to them.
Put it on them.
See, the whole thing is all right. That's where now everybody tune in. Y'all see me and Jesse the similarity because it's a God thing. It ain't about us. So the whole thing, God brought us together because you know what I'm saying. Now Jesse's Caucasian. I'm black, urban area, whatever. So this is all designed by God to show you the change. We need this change to the point that it doesn't matter what color you are. Our stories are similar because you know what I'm saying. God wants people to see that this is real. You know what I'm saying? You've been through what you've been through. I've been through what I've been through. It's no different than how we met of who we met through then. But at the same time, it's like you talking about the intuition and things you've been through. The whole thing is God was working in our lives through all that madness anyway. Right. So it's just like the scripture says, you know what I'm saying? God efficient. His grace and his efficiency for us all. You know what I'm saying? God reigns on the unjust as well as the just. So when we're not spiritually conscious, when we doing all that wrong. But when you have that awakeness, when you accept Christ, it's like that aha moment. But at the same time, that aha moment kicks in. That's the power of God kicking your life till you can see things or whatever to make the better choices and better decisions. So you can feel what's true and what's good. So you can know, like when you talking in a business deal, and when you, man, something off, man, dude, trying to fast talk me. He trying to, but that's the Holy Spirit,
right?
Telling you, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the discernment within you. It's power activating in you because you're a believer. So if you're a true believer, most people don't understand you're a true believer. You're a true believer. You still human. You still gonna make the same mistakes as a person making that's not a believer. Meaning, most people think becoming a Christian, you weak, you soften out, and now you just a mighty man of God. Yeah. You just a mighty man of God. You know, that's all it is. Or you still gonna make mistakes sometimes, get angry and this and that, whatever. Yes and no. You have self-control now. You're not in control. God is in control. Right. So that's why you can maintain and not do certain things that you would have done when we was right. younger in that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
And if you don't know what we're talking about, all you have to do, and this is from me, is pick up a Bible, and you ain't got to start at the first page. You can flip all through it. Just find something, start reading, and you'll start feeling like this. Just a feeling that you almost would feel if, I'm not saying the same feeling when you get high, but you know when you get high and your body starts making all these different feelings.
He telling the truth, you're going to get high because it's a natural high.
You're naturally, your dopamine, it's just like, you know, you get these feelings, you feel the energy in you. So there's something going on there. Just like when you watch a video and it makes you want to cry. When you're reading the Bible, if you're reading certain spots, you feel it's telling you stuff. And there's stuff in there that's making sense to you, even if it's just, you know, talking about the man sitting on the corner of the roof doesn't eat dinner. It's just like telling you, you know, like how to be good with your wife and how to get through life and do the right things. And I think if I would have done that earlier and just not been so proud and tried to at least open up and read the Bible, I never even gave it a chance till I was in prison.
Yeah, I'm saying, man, it's like, I knew God was real in my life on my way to prison. And I thank God for prison, for real, because, you know what I'm saying, I always tell people this, incarceration for restoration.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So God to make a better me. So that means
needed to
like,
be restored.
Yeah, I needed to be rejuvenated. I needed to sit down. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, cause everything that used to happen in the streets, I always would get a vision of whatever was going on, something bad was finna happen. I always had got that. I never knew what it was. I never shared it with nobody. Right. Because, you know, I was in that lifestyle. But I knew something was there, though. So when I say I knew something was there, I didn't really understand and know fully into I actually got there in prison. So when I say I got there in prison, when it was like, I guess on my way to prison made me understand more of my father. My father was, because my father used to be in the choir when he was younger or whatnot, whatever. He's deceased now. But I remember him telling me when he was taking me to turn myself in. And we were riding, and it was a silent ride. And usually my father, he always be talking to me. He'd be talking to me, I'd be listening. But this particular time, he wasn't saying nothing. I wasn't saying nothing. I was kind of pissed because I got to turn myself in. And my father turned around and looked at me and he said, "What's wrong with you?" And I didn't say nothing. He said, "Man, you're gonna be all right." He said, "I know you're gonna be all right." He said, "Because I raised you, number one." So that's still going back to a scripture. Scripture in the Bible says if you raise a child right, when he get older, he won't turn from it. So that means, like, say, man, we might have had our heyday and this and that, whatever, but somebody was praying for us.
Right.
Somebody knew Christ. Somebody knew something that we didn't even know before. You know what I'm saying? We was going through what we was going through. So as you get older, you understand. So at that particular time, I didn't understand, but he goes on to tell me, he say, "I raised you. I know you're gonna be all right." He said, "You go in there, get them people their time and stuff like that or whatever." He said, "See, what you don't understand, you not fighting against flesh and blood. You're fighting against spiritual things." So, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know how many times I've had something on my mind and I open up the Bible and I look at it, and like the scripture I'm reading, it just happened to us the other day. The very first scripture basically lays out what our problem is. I'm like, how did that just lay out right there? How did I open to this page?
That's the power of the Holy Spirit. That's what I'm saying. The power of the Holy Spirit is real. Is you can't not have a conversation about something and then you flip something over like that or whatever. That's God confirming. He's giving you that confirmation. What your thoughts are. You see it. It's like you and somebody having a conversation. Y'all had a conversation. Nobody else know y'all had a conversation, and you go somewhere else, and somebody bring that same conversation back. You know what I'm saying? Because God letting you know He talking through people that you hear Him. So you know what I'm saying. So that's why it comes to spiritual stuff. A lot of people, they're afraid of them because it's so real. You know what I'm saying. So that's why, you know what I'm saying. I got a lot of peace with myself to the point of knowing I have to be me. So I'm saying when I say I have to be me, it's like a lot of stuff people don't understand. Morals and principles I live by. So with the morals and principles I live by that
Those
I
are
see you rock,
yours.
I see you rocking with that I don't like, I ain't gonna rock with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm standing on it. You know what I'm saying? Because God is the scriptures say, if you love God, the world gonna hate you anyway. So I understand everybody ain't gonna be for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I still know how to be good and true and what's pure and what's good for me.
You're
And
the one that's got to live with you full time.
Yeah,
so you got to do what makes you feel right.
It's kind of like what we saying on the principles of, like you don't really want to be judgmental. It's like like you say you feel when you see guys, doing what they doing, and you living your life like that. That's where that comes in of you seeing or whatever. But God really He teaching us through that situation too, because He still want us to be an example to those guys that they lost.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So in any situation, I've learned He using us. We being you just a vessel that He using us, and I'm saying it's always good to, you know what I'm saying, always good to, you know what I'm saying, acknowledge the things that like what we've been through. Because if I know, like I can have to say this all the time, I know God is real, so real that before my wife became my wife, I seen me marrying my wife. But you know what I'm saying, I didn't tell her that. You know what I'm saying? I knew she was gonna be my wife before she was, you know what I'm saying? It's like going back to like we saying street. My wife was coming to see me. I was playing hardcore. I'm tell you a little story. You know what I'm saying? I got to tell a story about my wife. All right, it's like I was locked up. It was like same thing kind of happened to you. I ran into somebody. He seen me like, man, we from the same neighborhood. Say, man, you know what, man? He said, man, this was predestined. But you know what I'm saying? We be here together. Hold up. Predestined. I ain't really go, hold up. I go look up the word. But at the same time, use spiritual word.
Right.
So at the same time, I was basically it's ordained for me to be there or whatever, us being there at the same time. I run and I talk to my girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now. And she tells me I'm getting my life together, you know what I'm saying, with God and this and that, whatever. I'm like, hold up, man, it's God talking, this and that, whatever. But I never told nobody this. So I picked up the Bible just like you said. And then when I picked up the Bible, I'm like, nah, man, this can't be real. And then it came over my I started flashing back that every time it was a shootout, somebody got killed, something happened to somebody bad. And all these times I was seeing it before it happened. And I was like, whoa. And I read the scripture, touch not my anointed ones, through my prophets, no harm or danger, none should come near them. I'm like, hold up. I'm gonna keep that with me. I ain't gonna tell nobody I think I'm losing my mind, I'm going crazy.
I ain't trying to jinx myself, but I got a feeling that this is.
So I'm like, I'm gonna just keep this, I'm gonna keep this to myself.
Right.
So my wife come visit me, and she asked me one day, what you gonna do when you get out of here? She like, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting myself together. You need to get your life together. I don't know what you gonna do in this and that. So I'm trying to play hardcore. Like, I'm thinking what she's saying, but I ain't gonna let her know that. Girl, I'm a player, girl. I don't want to hear all that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm doing. Because I didn't. Because my whole thing was, you know what I'm saying? I was used to carrying guns, drugs, and this and that, whatever. So I'm thinking about my inner man fighting me, telling me, nah, you got to surrender. You got to surrender. So that surrender, I'm like, man,
Surrender, you're thinking, damn, I might get shot if I don't have that gun.
There you go. I'm thinking like, man, these dudes know they know I'm a hitter. They know I'm a hitter. They know I'm a fight. I'm a shoot the barrel off the gun man, ain't no way I'm finna go back to St. Louis and get out of here, man, and be walking around talking about some Jesus loves me. I said, them guys don't want to hear that. So it dawned on me. And when I said it dawned on me, a guy came to me. He was locked up with me too. He said, man, you different from us, bro. He said, when I say you different from us, when you speak, everybody kind of listen. And he said, from the reputation of what you had on the street, you about that. Still like, man, I don't hear about that. So I'm fighting myself. When I say I'm fighting myself, it's like I'm reading the Bible and I'm starting to understand the Bible on my own. I ain't telling nobody I'm reading the Bible, but I'm starting to understand that thing that what I was having in the streets, that was his gift, the one man.
Right.
So that means I owed him. I don't owe nobody else. I owe him for keeping me alive.
Mm-hmm.
So once I came to that realization, I'm like, all right, God, I already know what you're saying. You got to get out of here. You got to change. You can't be carrying no guns. Can't be womanizing. You know what I'm saying? And all this and that. I mean, and from that, you know what I'm saying, from that encounter that I had with God or whatever, I just knew, you know what I'm saying. I stuck with it. I still try to play around with my wife. She got me too. I try to play around with her. When I say I try to play around with her, he was coming to see me and all that, whatever. Playing like, you know what I'm saying, I ain't want to be with her. I want to mess with other women and all that, whatever. Man, she saw it. Told me, oh, you want to act like that? Okay, then. And then I ain't get a phone
You
call.
call her next week and Jody answers. He's like,
No,
hello. No, I'm joking.
My wife, she played it. She played it real classy like a lady. She didn't answer the phone. She didn't call me. She didn't write me.
Oh, it kills you
sick.
too. Oh, you're in there just freaking out.
I was sick, man. I was.
He hangs up the phone and just starts puking. I've been there. I've been out on that yard like, why won't she answer?
So I wasn't name. I end up calling her. I want to say probably about 4 months after, whatever. She's like, what you want or whatever the case be. And I just told her, say, listen, I get out of here, what I'm going to do. She said, you've been with me. or whatever. Because I knew she was the one. I knew she was the one. It's just like when you in prison, and everybody know this, when you go to prison, you might as well forget about your lady.
Yeah,
Just
everything's
think
shut off.
yeah, you just might as well forget about it. But that from her, no, it wasn't. I got visits every weekend.
Nice.
My wife was always there. I'm talking about before I went.
All the
Nothing
way
never
through.
changed. Nothing never changed. So it was more or less like I knew. I just told her, I said, well, I ain't gonna play with you. I said, I've been in here trying to get myself together, get my life to God. When I get out, I'm married, gonna do whatever. Been with my wife. We've been together 30 years. June
Nice.
16th,
That's
be
awesome.
23 years. 23 years we've been together, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I'm just saying, but if I wouldn't have tapped in, I wouldn't have got that gift. The
Mhm.
Bible said a man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Right.
You got a wife, right?
Oh yeah.
You got a good thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, you could have did it without
She
him.
she's my better half for real. I mean, if
yeah.
it wasn't for her, I would still be struggling in life, for without a doubt. I was struggling, after everything. She's definitely my rock. What I was gonna mention earlier, whenever I hadn't really looked at the Bible or nothing like that, and one of the first times I'd open it up. And I'd already been thinking this in my mind, so I'm like, all right, I'm manifesting it in my mind. I'm like, I'm doing this wrong. I'm not being a man. I'm acting like a damn kid out here. I'm 25. My wife at the time was pregnant. I didn't feel much like a man. I felt really little. And I opened the Bible, and I don't remember what verse it was or whatnot, but it was, as a child, I thought like a child. I acted like a child. And then as a man, I've got to act like a man. I butchered that. But that was right what I opened
No,
up.
you
And
said it right. You said it right. You right.
I mean, I opened up to that page, and the first verse that stood out on me on the page was that. And it's what I had been thinking already for the last 2 years going through or year and a half going through pretrial and all this. And it clicked. I'm like, man, that was deep right there. I mean, it was the first thing I read.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one thing about God, the power of God is definitely real. People don't want to accept it. They think it's out of this. You know what I'm saying? These smoking mirrors, this hocus pocus and all that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? God want to have a relationship with you. He gonna have a personal relationship with you one on one. You know it. You know it because God is a gentleman. He ain't gonna press nothing up on you. So it's like when that time comes or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you will know. Everybody knows when they have that what I tell people all the time, when you sitting to yourself and it's like you in a think tank by yourself and you think, man, I need to do this and that, whatever. I'm tired of living like this. I need to get myself together. And this, now. You thinking all those things to yourself. But even though you thinking all those things to yourself, you having a conversation with God.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You have
That's
to
who it's with.
you having a conversation with God because it's nobody there.
Except
But
you
these
and him.
things you telling yourself. So that's him talking to you.
I used to always be confused. I'd be like, okay, I said amen, so am I good or can I go back to think like I normally think, or I'd never know, or
Yeah,
I'd be praying and
and
I'd be like, I would pray for like 30 minutes or something, and I'd get it and I'd fall asleep usually is what would happen if I was in prison and I would pray myself to sleep basically at night. But then my ADD would kick in and I'd go from praying to thinking about something else, and I'd be like, "Oh, get that out of here." That was the devil trying to slip that in
yeah,
there. I would like go back
that's the
in.
way our mind works though. I'm saying, that's the way our mind works. When you charging up, you know what I'm saying? When you charging up, of course the devil gonna kick something in there that's bad. That's
For
you know what I'm
sure.
saying, that's not right. I'm saying because there's power when you know what I'm saying, that the devil sees the power of when you charging up. So he gotta slip something in there in that little window if he can to get you from seeing a bigger picture. Or you know what I'm saying, or doing what
Yeah.
God wants us to do. So it's you know what I'm saying? Like you just said, man, all of those things, just like said, man, God don't make no mistake what he do. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about the person that brought us together when we met. In full circle, we come back around. And like I said, I just happened to go see him. You're like, man, you need to go talk to Jesse. I'm like, Jesse. Like you I said, I know Jesse. He's like, yeah, remember when y'all met? I was like, yeah, he's like, man, you probably need to go get on this podcast or whatever. Like, man, I'm just gonna go invade and get on the man podcast.
That
He's
dude's
like,
got,
no,
hey,
he's like, he wants you to get on the
for
podcast
sure.
with him.
That dude's got some serious energy too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel
But
his energy.
he run from it.
Yeah, he's too busy. He's busy doing shit, but that guy's got a lot of good in him.
He run from it. He fighting his own. He
I-
fighting
we all are.
he fighting what he fighting. Let me say this. He's fighting his overall good that he know he can do.
Right.
And I think he afraid of that. And it's like people like yourself or me comes in, he's you know what I'm saying, it's like a
Relief.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because that's my man though. That's my I'm saying.
We've
that's
got
my
to give him a
man.
shout out. So
Yeah.
this podcast was kind of, set up through a mutual friend of ours, which is Dan Jones, big environmental company doing great things.
Oh
Great
yeah,
guy.
Dan the man. That's what I call him. Dan the man.
Dan is the man.
Dan the man, I need 50 grand.
Hey,
Now I'm
Dan.
coming to see you, put it in my hand.
I could use mine too. No, I'm joking.
No, we just like we got like I said, we love Dan, man, and we just you know what I'm saying, for real, Dan.
He
good
is
guy,
a rock.
For real
He's a
good
rock.
dude.
He keeps a lot of people grounded.
Yeah,
He helps
man.
keep us
He
grounded.
help a lot of people.
He does.
A lot of people for real.
He's
Super
we look
good
back
dude.
at some big events throughout our life, and it's funny that like this friend of ours that is he's a busy man.
Yeah, he is.
Has been
Multi-million-dollar
part of
company.
like these different big parts of our life, and I'm like, man, I'm just glad that he's got enough. He takes enough time because I know he's busier than hell. But for somebody so far away that
Yeah.
really and the gist things he doesn't talk to very often.
Nah,
But whenever he does take time out for you, he takes time out for you. He's a good
Oh
dude.
yeah, he good dude for real. He good dude, real solid dude.
Yeah.
And like you just said before, I believe, like I just said, I believe he got so much going that you know what I'm saying. Like I said, man, Dan, real good dude for real. I tell him all the time. A lot of times I worry about him because he always going. I
Right.
tell him all the time, man, you need to slow down. But like I said, he keep his motors running. Or
He's
whatever.
like
'Cause like I
Elon.
said, he motivated me.
Yeah.
He motivated me to do my own company. You know what I'm saying? Midwest Mail Railway Maintenance Group. You know what I'm saying? So, like I just said, I wouldn't have never
A mentor. He was a mentor.
Yeah,
He's
I
same
wouldn't
for
have never
me.
put that. I would have never put that together if it wouldn't been for him when he just said, "Man, I see you working 2 jobs." You know what I'm saying? Man, listen. He's like, man, you got the hustle, you got the fire, you man, go on. You know what I'm saying? And he walked with me the whole way through to make sure everything happened. My first contract
Right.
came from him. Like I said, Dan, hands down, he gonna always be my guy.
And that's
Real.
what we need to do. He's doing what we're talking about doing in a different aspect, but it's the same thing. Like, this is a mentor guy. He doesn't have to help me. He doesn't have to help Teddy. He could just, help his friends or whatnot. We're strangers at this time to him, or somewhat. But he's looking for people that he sees some potential in, and he mentors a little bit. And he doesn't do it, he doesn't do it on purpose. He's not like trying to mentor, but in the real picture, that's what he's doing.
That's what he's
because
doing.
I didn't have very much knowledge myself, and I'm picking up this knowledge because once I started studying and realizing you are who you hang out with and all that
Yeah.
stuff, I'm soaking up the wrong information or the right information from the wrong guys. So then I start soaking up the right information from the right guys. But it's good to have guys out there that are willing to mentor the next generation or fellow brothers, because that's what we got to do. We got to help each other, or we're going to go back to the barbarian stage, which if that's what it is, and that's what it is, let's do it. But if not, let's get back to being
Yeah.
men and taking care of things.
Yeah, he was not like you said. He being selfless for doing it, but at the same time, that makes sense. Why? You know what I'm saying? He naturally blessed though. He's naturally blessed because he has that gift within him. He's a giver.
Right.
He's a giver. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm saying, because when a person stops, hey man, do this, now. A lot of people don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And me, he knows like myself, and I know you, I always feel that it's important that, you know what I'm saying, constantly, you know, try to get in position to reposition somebody else, you know what I'm saying, out of they situation or whatever. And I think that's the key of just making a whole better society.
Yeah, it's
People,
a
you know what
good
I'm saying, try to
strategy.
go back, you know what I'm saying, and lend a helping hand. You're not gonna rescue everybody, but you know what I'm saying, if you have 10 people and you just get two, you did a hell of a job.
Right.
You did a hell of a
And
job.
you probably, being inner city, and when I say inner city, if you don't know what that means, like the inner city, if you're
Hood.
the
The
hood,
hood.
what really gets me down,
Sir.
yeah, that's Jamie.
Good at my job.
I see you. I see you.
What really gets me down is these guys like inner city or rural areas that they just don't have a mom, a dad that gives a shit, and you got a little kid that's 14 or 13, and their mom's bailed on them, and grandma can't take care of them. Those are the ones. God, that affects me so much. It really hurts me whenever I see somebody like, man, I wish your dad. So yeah, I like how you were talking earlier about mentoring the youth. They really need people in their lives that love them. I've got a 5-year-old in there, and that little dude can't wait till I get home to cuddle. You know what I mean? I'll come home. You clean? He'll ask me. I'm like, yeah, let's cuddle. I'll get on the couch. He gets right here under my arm, and I feel the energy off of him, and I feel me giving him energy. You know what I mean? He's getting energy from me. And if those kids don't have that, boy, that breaks my heart. So I would like to definitely figure out some way that we could be helping some youth around here. And even if
Man,
there's a youth program, since they closed the one we had.
you got to understand, even though it's not a youth program, that's what God probably want us to do.
Right.
He probably want us to do it. Somebody that's been there, grassroots. That's what it's about. You can't help nobody if you ain't been there.
Right.
If you have to walk in those shoes, it's different from you listening to somebody that's been through it, and then you listening to them, and then you try to piggyback off of their experience, and you try to
You ain't felt
make
those
yeah,
emotions
yeah,
before. You
yeah.
need
You
to.
trying to make an organization off of something they did. It's not gonna be successful. 'Cause the success comes with somebody grassroots who been all the way to, you know what I'm saying, from the bottom, you know what I'm saying? They know what it is. Because you gotta understand, it's a lot of people that don't want to work, but it's a lot of people that want to work. The people that want to work is the people that need a second chance. The people that don't get a second chance is the people that's never been there that hold the key to, oh, you an ex felon, at the door in your face. And that's not right. But at the
Right.
same time, you know what I'm saying, the powers would be is that's why I say it's all about positioning, because we talking. Let's go. Let's just think about something. The story in the Bible. The story in the Bible about Joseph. Joseph was a dreamer, but even though Joseph was a dreamer, Joseph got in position to get his family out of the having been in the famine. They had a famine in the land or whatever. Even though out of all of the stuff what his family members had did to him, they sold him into slavery. He
Right.
went through a whole horrible position of transition of his life. But one thing he remained diligent on. He was a diligent worker, so he stood out. Even though he stood out or whatnot, he still was accused of certain things and put in horrible situations. But through there, he learned how the Hornets' his gift to interpret dreams, but that positioned him to the right hand of the throne. And when his family was going through the famine of the land, or whatever the case be, he got his family out of that situation. So I'm saying that to say, when people have went through stuff from the bottom and risen to the top, they can see that the people that need help, while other people that's at the top don't give a damn about the people at the bottom,
Right.
because that's like,
They started at the top. They've
yeah,
been at
that's
the
just
top.
like
They don't care.
society. That's just like our society. Most people don't even understand what keeps us as bay. When people talk politics, people talk religion, it causes division. But if you really truly talking about God and the spirit of God, talking about what's right. So all the rest of this stuff don't matter. So when I say the rest of this stuff don't matter, it's about how could you help somebody from even getting the mindset to do something wrong, to harm somebody, You gotta put them in position. You gotta put them in position. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, hey, you ain't got to do that, man. You know what I'm saying? Well, why you say ain't got to do that, man? You don't understand. I'm in the hood. I ain't got nothing that's going on. Ain't nobody gonna give me no job. This and that. Now, see, I want to be the one like, be here tomorrow. What size shoes you wear? 10. Okay. So you working with me tomorrow. Come on. You know what I'm saying? And I believe once you do that or whatever, what's gonna happen, that individual that you touch like that,
it's gonna give him hope. He's gonna do it. Yeah.
and he gonna go run and spread the word. Yeah, man, you won't believe this. The guy on the company told me, stop whining, stop crying, be here tomorrow. I ain't have no work boots. He told me, hey, I got you. Right. I ain't have no way. He had sent somebody to get me. And it's all about, you have to do that, because the same person that we talk about, he might be finna get ready to carjack somebody. Right. It might, because he might be at his lowest low.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Rent might be due tomorrow.
And you know the old saying, hurt people hurt people. A person been hurt all their life, they ain't tripping off their feelings and their emotion or whatever the case be.
They've shut them off too, just like I was saying. I mean, they've been through it. They grew up through it. Their emotions off. Rob it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to get love. Got to get people back in there. And I'm telling you, pick up that Bible and you'll start feeling that tingling sensation. It starts in your toes and works its all the way up. That's what happened to me, anyways. But
now, this boy right here might be Reverend Jesse to come. Now, you got to watch him, man. Reverend Jesse.
You felt that feeling before. You feel it. Eugene, I appreciate you coming on Reckless Success.
Oh, man, it's all good, man. I appreciate you having me, man. Hey, anytime you need me, call me, man. I'm here, man. It's always genuine love, man, since day one, for real. So
yes, sir.
I'm glad I could be here.
He's got From the Streets to the Throne. You can get that on Amazon. Also check out China Line. God family. Is that what it says? Dog family.
Really China Line.
Oh, and
China Line and the family. But you can check me out on Willingham Exotic Bullies. You know what I'm saying? That's my IG page, or you can on my Facebook page, Teddy Willingham ASOG. Because sometimes what I do, I also come to schools, do speaking events, engagements, and whatnot. Anything where what I'm saying, like just to give back or whatever. So you can reach me on any one of them, or if not, you can email me at Eugene_Willingham@yahoo.com.
That's it. We appreciate you coming on, man. We're about to go win a bunch of money out here at the casino if the good Lord will let us.
Now we understand why the podcast is called Reckless Success.
All right, now let's go have some reckless fun. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Reckless Success. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. You can follow us on TikTok and YouTube at reckless.success, Instagram at reckless success. We're on Spotify and all major podcast services. Hit that subscribe button, please. For more information on May Excavating, check out our website or TikTok. That's a wrap. Thanks.